Hello and welcome back to this Friday on Crypt. Oh my god, the markets suck! But there's a lot of interesting drama going on in the Bitcoin world, and what does it mean for the future of crypto's leading asset? Let's dive in. Pow! Now the sauce has been served from this leaked article via The Rage, saying Luke Dashjr plans hard fork to save Bitcoin. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I'm not sure how to pronounce that J. But text messages shared with The Rage shows that the Knots maintainer is considering a hard fork to implement a trusted multi-sig committee that can retrospectively alter the blockchain to remove illicit content. Now that is a big claim. What they go on to say here is through a variety of leaked private messages, which in my opinion kind of lame. I mean, we're talking about privacy of money. Let people have privacy. But they go on to say that Luke, who is a Bitcoin Core contributor, also running the Knots container. I've talked about this for the last 2 days. The difference comes around spam, with Bitcoin Core deciding that they are open to raising the limit via the amount of data that comes in through what is called op return. This is effectively something that is looking to alleviate mempool bloat and is offering an opportunity to build more complex applications on top of Bitcoin. Now, the counter to that, it is going to open the door to a lot of things that they are calling spam, whether that be images, videos, with the most aggressive call to action being around child porn, CASM, child abusive sexual material. The best calling card in mankind to red flag things immediately. So there's a couple accusations that get made in this article. One, that Luke is ideating on this new way to deal with spam, that he wants to do a hard fork, that in this hard fork there will be a quorum of Bitcoin contributors who have this multi-signature contract that can basically look at every transaction coming in and say, hey, if we see something that we don't like, that we want to censor, we can take that data, collapse it to a zero knowledge proof, and pass that proof along to all other operators on the network. This would allow participating nodes to verify that yes, this data is indeed there. We can appreciate that as true, but no, we are not going to host it directly on our machines. The other point is that holy shit, how is this Bitcoin Core developer going to rely on lawyers and legal memos to go after other Bitcoin pool operators? Like, what a violation of the cypherpunk ethos. All very disgusting. And of course, the big fear here, are they going to call for a fork of Bitcoin? Can they convince Michael Saylor and some of the larger operators of Bitcoin pools to go after this? Now, in retort, we have the ever-beloved Udi Wertheimer coming out saying, I just read the hit piece. I think it's BS. He discusses a lot of valid points. One, private DMs don't give us the full picture, so there's just some shadiness to releasing bits and pieces and allowing that to affect your interpretation of the whole. He also discusses, okay, we could still do this without a hard fork. Maybe this computer that is searching for spam lags behind other Bitcoin transactions as it censors out that spam in already valid blocks and propagates that across its own network. Basically, continuing to support the Bitcoin network as is with a brief spam lag. This is an assumption by Udi that many people are coming out and saying, hey man, you're just like kind of making that up. And he goes, yes. This is not an implementation plan. This is a conversation between people, a hypothetical, and I'm going to hop in with some of my own ideas. So it's a major back and forth, but this has become just an explosive topic overnight. People coming out of the woodwork, whether they agree or disagree on either way, saying, oh my god, lawyers getting into the picture? This is the most anti-cypherpunk thing that we can conceive of. Of course, Udi comes back and he says, no, Luke was asked a legal question and he returns with the answer, I'm not a lawyer, I gotta ask the lawyers. So there's a lot of back and forth and it's not extremely clear, but to wrap it all up and make sure that we go into the weekend beautifully, I want to share this post by Schmitty, which says, my fellow Bitcoiners, we are absolutely winning. Don't believe that catastrophizing spam isn't a mortal threat to Bitcoin. Luke isn't gonna hard fork Bitcoin. Bitcoin development is winning. There's nearly 100,000 Bitcoin nodes on the network, coming from the source Luke's dashboard. The charlatans separating Bitcoin Core's consensus validation logic into a library to be used by any project. Stephen Vlastik contributing to building tooling and educating people about it. Bitcoin Brink is pulling literal PhDs in fuzz testing and fuzzing library maintainers for a fuzzing intern role to build out fuzz testing infra to test every aspect of the Bitcoin Core database to find bugs. So backwards looking in a security lens. A Fortune 500 company at Blox has a hardware wallet launched a suite suite of open source mining products and is bringing to the masses via Square and Cash App, thanks Jack. And Fanquake serving as the backbone of the Bitcoin core project, ensuring that we have reproducible builds and any software to run it all. So all of this is coming out saying there's so many positive releases. Bitcoin is just getting started. There will be no hard fork. And like so many of the battles that we've had in the past, this too shall pass, and Bitcoin will continue to produce one block after another. So it's a bit of fun. You might hear about it. I just wanted to get some clarity going out into the broader world, because I can assure you the mainstream media is going to bungle this story, but it's been entertaining. And as always, we should be very skeptical about the information that we see coming across the internet, coming across x.com. And of course, hearsay and the sharing of private DMs, never the best method for source information. With that being said, have a great weekend. Hopefully we start to see some alleviation of the Bitcoin selling pressure. But that being said, there's lots of positive momentum out there. Plasma just had a tremendous launch, arguably the best launch in memory of their stablecoin platform, of which whose total addressable market is all the money in the world and then some. All of this is extremely positive. We are at a massive turning in converting the traditional financial rails to blockchain rails, and it's looking wildly successful. Stay safe out there. Don't overlever. Give me a like or a sub because it means everything to me, and I will see you next week.